Okay, there are memoirs and then there are memoirs, and I can tell you Britney Spears, The Woman in Me, is now out across the US and it is big. There's so many news breaks coming out of it. We've got Zan to have a yarn about it. G'day, Zan.
Good morning.
Wow.
Just catching up on everything myself.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I was having a look at it this morning and you take us through. I mean, I'll tell you the bits that have already jumped out at me.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking, and this is, of course, the first time that Britney's been able to tell her story. For many years, she was in a conservatorship, for about 13 years, in fact, before she broke free with the help of the Free Britney movement. And this really captures her life so far. Interestingly, it's not focused that much on music, and that's unsurprising, I think, to me, because her life has become so much more intense than that. And it was something that I think, from reading this memoir, she lost the love of pretty early. Her body from a young age felt like public property, she says in The Woman in Me. She grew up in the public eye. Her first single came out when she was a teenager, and the media would note very publicly her changing physique, and they concluded that she must have had breast implants rather than just going through puberty. And she also notes how talk show hosts would talk about her chest while talking about her boyfriend Justin Timberlake's music, and really found that quite frustrating and disappointing. In fact, one of the reasons that she did that very public breakdown in 2007, where she went into the tattoo parlour and shaved her head, was because she wanted to reclaim her body and herself. She didn't want anyone to have ownership over her as they had for, almost a decade. A year later, after that breakdown, she was in that conservatorship. This is when her diet was monitored. She was made to do punishing gym routines. Her father constantly told her she was fat. During that conservatorship, I'll remind everyone that she was performing on stage in a Las Vegas residency, not something that people who are not considered of sound mind would able to do.
Yeah. One of the things, and we were looking at the video clip of Baby Hit Me One More Time, was where she talks about the fact it was her idea to do the video in the high school. It was her idea to add a lot of creativity to this stuff, but she was always dismissed as not ever being the brains behind any of it, that she was just this teenager who had music written for her and she performed it and that was it. And it did make me rethink a lot of the narrative that we've heard about her.
Particularly about most female pop artists, I'd say. They've really undermined, really dismissed, because people see that music as lesser than. They think that the women who are involved in it have no say in what they're creating. And I think that there's probably many people at home who are nodding their heads right now and agreeing. Britney is one of the biggest stars in the world. She began as a performer and a dancer from a very young age. She has talent. She was able to define her own destiny, but constantly told that other people, and particularly men, were deciding what their destiny would be. Some of the other interesting takeaways from The Woman in Me was Britney talking about experiencing postnatal depression after both of her sons. She said that for having both of her sons, it felt like some part of me had become the baby. Really, the most damning part is about the conservatorship. And this really, I mean, we've heard about it before, but just, again, hearing it in her words, that she's medicated and surveilled 24/7, that her dates, if she goes on dates, are required to agree to background checks and blood tests. They're made to sign NDAs, and then they receive a full rundown of her sexual history before the first date. She objects to a new dance move suggested at her Las Vegas residency, and she's sent to a solitary rehab facility for 2 months, which is just shocking. I just get shivers thinking about that. She's put on lithium, she's locked up, subject to relentless testing. She can't see anyone. She can't bathe or dress in a private and shut the door to her room. She's treated like an infant, like someone who can't control her life, and yet still being made money off while she goes up on stage at Las Vegas. So it's a damning book. She says herself she's never really known freedom, and she's in this state of arrested development. And she also talks about those social media video clips which we see where she's dancing and free. And a lot of people have a lot of comments about that. But as she says, she finally has the chance to reclaim her own body. This is what she wants to do. This is how she feels free, and what she thinks is sexy, what she thinks is fun, and she can finally do that. So, let Britney be Britney. It was a long time under the control of someone else, and even before that conservatorship, having her narrative controlled and told in a way that she didn't feel was true. So, yeah, a lot of people are going to be absorbing this. The Woman in Me comes out everywhere today, and I think there's going to be a lot of chat about it.